About 30 minutes. Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to preface my manifestation by I know that this has been answered, but just to be sure. May I know, Mr. Chairman, if it is correct to say that the impeachment proceeding is not a judicial proceeding?
That's correct. That's correct.
A lot of people look at it as a political proceeding.
That's correct. That's correct.
And if that is the case, impeachment is not the exclusive province of distinguished and learned lawyers like Congressman Rufus Rodriguez and others, etc. Is that correct?
Chairman,
in fact, I'd like to cite that in the end, this will go to plenary. And if you look at the plenary, we have about 269 members who will be 274. But I was given 269. And of the 274, only around 68 are lawyers. Not even 30% is far from the 13% required. And the rest are engineers, agriculturists, political people, businessmen, mathematicians, etc., etc. And therefore, Mr. Chairman, would it be correct to say that this is going to be decided by non-lawyers? Because even if the lawyers vote as one, we don't have 30%.
that's correct.
I mean 1/3. Thank you. In fact, in this committee, even including the ex-officio members and the deputized members, there are 76 members in this committee, and it is 76-33 are non-lawyers. And considering that the lawyers here are divided very obviously, you need the non-lawyers to make a decision. So I would say that you have to make your arguments, I'd like to address the lawyers, you have to make your arguments very clear to non-lawyers like us in order for us to be swayed by your arguments. Minus the, not legalese, not even Google to go, but minus the, we have to address the layman, in other words. Now, Mr. Chairman, in the Senate, which is going to be the place where the trial is going to be conducted, if it will come to that, I look at it, only 10 are lawyers in the Senate out of 23. We need 2/3 in the Senate. In other words, even in the Senate, the non-lawyers are going to decide the day as far as this case is concerned, if it will come to that. Now, Mr. Chairman, my history in impeachment goes back to the 10th Congress, because I was one of the first member of Congress to file an impeachment complaint against then Ombudsman Desierto. It was a very educational experience for me, a very enlightening experience. I lost miserably in that impeachment complaint. In fact, I was even induced by some to seek judicial review of the decision of the committee. And I was tempted to do that, thinking that maybe a good resort would be to go to the Supreme Court to be able to cure what I perceived were the defects of the proceedings at the time. But upon reviewing the history of impeachment here in the Philippines, and also in the United States, which is the model, if I'm not mistaken, the model of the impeachment proceeding, even the impeachment provisions of the Philippine Constitution, I found out that there are 3 schools of thought on judicial review, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, all of which would frown upon basically judicial review. In other words, the sentiment of a lot, not only members of Congress, but even outside Congress, is that judicial review should be brought to a minimum level. In fact, even 0 level to be listened to some. One school of thought, Mr. Chairman, there are 3, that only justiciable challenges to impeachment are for violations of explicit constitutional constraints on the impeachment proceedings. what are these? When we say explicit, it means that we must vote 1/3. In the Senate, it must be 2/3. It must be the proper committee that must conduct the hearing and not any other committee. And it provides who should preside, depending on who is the impeachable official, who is the respondent. So, very obviously, Mr. Chairman, if we go by this school of thought, a challenge in the Supreme Court in judicial review is not justiciable. In other words, it is not acceptable because I do not see any violation as far as the explicit constitutional constraints are concerned. This is the Justice Committee, the proper committee. We have not yet come to a plenary vote, so there is no question as far as the plenary vote is concerned. The second, Mr. Chairman, school of thought is that judicial review is never permissible. Never permissible. And the reason for that is that it is what they call the conceivable non-justiciability of any impeachment challenge. Well, this is very obvious, especially in the case of the Supreme Court, Mr. Chairman, because the only legislative check that we have, we are supposed to operate on the check and balance system. But the only legislative check we have on the Supreme Court is impeachment. The justices do not go through a confirmation process. They're not confirmed by Congress. So there is no legislative check there. There is supposed to be check and balance, but there is no such thing except the impeachment. And according to the learned people on this school of thought, allowing judicial review would eviscerate this only legislative check. And that's why the school of thought would not allow any challenge. Judicial review, it's very obvious. Mr. Chairman, we have a number of impeachable officials, including justices. So what we have is a situation if we allow judicial review, would be the justices would be allowed to decide on the procedures that will be followed in impeachment proceedings where they might be the respondents. So that, Mr. Chairman, is cannot be contemplated. It is cannot be allowed because they will be the one to decide on how the impeachment proceedings will be conducted in relation to the possible removal, since they are impeachable officers. And they will have the last word. Imagine if there will be judicial review, they would have the last word for their own removal of the proprietary procedures. And judicial review would at the same time impede the principle of finality in impeachment. Because this is, if you are going to allow judicial review, Mr. Chairman, they can intervene anytime. They can intervene before we vote in plenary. They can intervene during the proceeding in the Senate. And they can intervene before the vote in the Senate. They can intervene on all kinds of evidence.